Sponsor yield to a few questions.
Sponsor, yield for questions.
Sure.
Thank you. Vince, your bill, along with the governor's conditional veto, set the casino's tax payment at $120 million for 15 years, which is basically the amount of money that the city collected from the casinos this year, $120 million. In order for the city to meet its budget requirements, it deferred $40 million, which is going to come due next year. Even Moody's acknowledges that there will be a $30 million shortfall even with the pilot bills. And based upon that, I just wanted to ask you, what is your plan to prevent non-casino businesses and property owners, families in Atlantic County, from absorbing a $40 million tax increase?
Well, as you know, through the Speaker, Assemblyman Brown, that these bills have been put together to first stabilize the property taxes because we've had 53% increase in property taxes in Atlantic City in the last 2 years, in 13 and 14. And the reason for most of these increases on property taxes were through the large casinos tax appeal, which the city has paid out over $200 million of tax appeals. So these bills are geared to stabilize the property taxes, as well as, once we do that, we'll be able to, as you know, gear up for investment and get people back to work. These bills, as you know, we kicked them around, and they're not a silver bullet, but we had a major problem as far as tax increases or property tax increases, so it stops the bleeding and will help invigorate or get investment into Atlantic City.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Mazzeo, when you originally passed and these bills went through in the Assembly in June, you had assured the bipartisan freeholder board, the bipartisan mayors association, as well as the county executive, that there would be a 13.5% of the pilot that would go to the county to help offset the rest of the county's tax payments. I was just curious, do you plan on honoring that portion of your commitment?
Well, on the bill, it's in the bill that Atlantic County and Atlantic City will agree upon amount that they will receive. Now, there's been this 13.5%. So be it. If that's what they agree upon, then that's what it will be. But that's between Atlantic County and Atlantic City to come upon that agreement.
And Mr. Speaker, I have one last question. I appreciate your indulgence, and you too, Mr. Mazzeo, Assemblyman Mazzeo. As you know, the state appointed a state monitor to monitor the finances of Atlantic City, to make recommendations. The taxpayers of New Jersey paid up to $450,000 for the expertise of this monitor, and neither you nor are you willing to hold these bills at least until we can read the manager's report to give us suggestions on the governor's conditional veto and whether or not that conditional veto actually solves the problem?
I think the question that is on the table is, will you hold these bills until you read a report, correct?
Yeah, the report we paid $450,000.
That's the answer. Assemblyman Mazzeo, if you're willing to hold the bill.
No, I'm not willing to hold the bill. I think that, Atlantic City, as you know, has a lot of problems, and we're just going to continue. This is to stop the bleeding right now.
Right.
But we have more work to do, and I look forward to the emergency manager coming out with his recommendation. Okay. But I know some of these that are in the bill are part of what the recommendation emergency manager is going to make.
Senator Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.